Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Charlotte, I'm the head of strategy for Impero, which is a creative agency based in East London. So naturally, I will be here to talk to you about some creative and all about kind of cutting through using TV. So I wanted to talk you through a case study we've done recently over the last 2 years with Georgia Asda. For those that don't know, Georgia Asda is a kind of national clothing brand attached to a supermarket, Asda. And we use them to kind of grow brands impatiently on TV, and we wanted to really go viral with kids and engage parents at a really key moment, which was the infamous 2021 back-to-school moment, which any parent in the room will remember fondly, I imagine, after 2 years of lockdown with your kids. So the challenge they had for us, this was essentially our brief, one-line brief, get us to #1 during back-to-school and knock M&S off the top spot. Easy peasy, right? So M&S, obviously, they're masters of the game. They do it better than anyone else. They're really trusted. And I guess in that sort of instance, we're kind of the underdog in the situation. We're a very kind of value-based retailer, but I wouldn't say we are kind of #1 top spot just yet. And so I'm just going to show you a little case study video here of kind of what we did. And we wanted to kind of do something that essentially, no offense to M&S, but something maybe they couldn't do, which was kind of use TV in a slightly different way. Historically, George have really been value-led. They will probably talk about price more than anything else. And they're probably a bit guilty of kind of trying to grab, add as many messages as they possibly can into every single TV ad, assuming that will kind of work the hardest for them. But we wanted to do something different and kind of think about if we could kind of connect with culture in a different way and kind of think about TV and the use of TV in a different way to maybe cut through in a bit of a kind of David and Goliath kind of situation. So hopefully this works. I'll show you a little case study film.
So let's talk about some things that I have seen on the internet recently which are bringing me joy. First off, the fucking Asda advert.
Arriving at this old place, future ready. Just got these new 6 kicks and that, so get steady. Look, there's Jay, so much knowledge in this place.
This is a story of how Georgia Asda created the definitive back-to-school anthem of 2021.
All schools across Britain will close until further notice.
It can be scary enough going back to school after the weekend, but what about after 18 months of global pandemic? So Asda's 2021 back-to-school campaign took on a special significance. In a category that was old and tired, they needed to deliver some freshness and excitement, but they also needed to give kids the confidence to walk back through those school gates with real swagger. So they put us kids in control, letting us front a TV campaign that dropped like a music video. Stepping into the UK drill scene, Onyx, Max and Victoria took the mic.
This is an advert with a difference. See some kids in the playground and they can rap now.
I'm gonna end this test, stop my eyes and cross my teeth.
The internet said it slapped and went nuts for it, with over 11,000 people uploading their own TikTok recreations. We mini superstars popped up everywhere, including in print and in-store. We created bite-sized rhymes, social content, and by popular demand, we made a karaoke video. And that's how Asda became the official anthem for getting back to normal.
Look who's back, look who's back, look who's back to school. Look who's back, look who's back, look who's back to school. Look who's back, look who's back, look who's back to school, yeah!
So cute. So this is kind of what we did. So that's kind of what we did, and I guess how we did it. Really simple. We wanted to kind of a really simple formula that we could work with George. And I think the kind of 3 things we did. Firstly, we prioritised real-time cultural insights over category conventions, and this was really key for us in getting like the right tone. Obviously, with kind of culture moving so fast, we had to really understand like how the nation was feeling to kind of tonally kind of get it right. And I guess, although Asda is a leader in back to school, one of the leaders, they kind of look like everyone else. Like these are kind of images taken from a mixture of different brands. And I think we can all safely say, those that have children, this is not what back to school looks like. This is certainly not what like the morning looks like, getting your kids to school. And especially in 2021, we were thinking about like, this doesn't really represent like the audiences that George serves. Like they have a huge footprint up and down the country. So we wanted to create something that was a bit more realistic. So we went and we spoke to some parents. We have a bit of a secret weapon up our sleeve. Sorry, the formatting's gone a bit funny there. We have this thing called The Move, which is a real-time insights platform that really connects brands to consumers really quick. So what would have taken kind of 6 weeks to do some research, we can do in a couple of days with nothing more than a couple of WhatsApp groups and armed with our 400-strong community of Move panelists. So we spoke to parents, and we really wanted to understand how they're feeling. This felt like a much bigger moment than back to school. Like, although this is kind of the Christmas of retail, of back to school land, it kind of, we really felt that it had a sort of could have a bit of bigger momentum behind it, because I think we all were feeling kind of like we wanted to kind of get back to normal, and this was almost the first normal thing that had happened since COVID. And what we did, that helped us kind of tap a collective mood, and I think sometimes the right strategy is getting really specific, but this time it really felt like we wanted to do something really big, really important, and kind of maybe even speak to people, not just kids, not just those with kids, but like wider nation. So that helped us tap a mood, and when we spoke to the parents, what they really said to us was that they couldn't wait for their kids to get back thriving. This word thriving came up again and again, and it was all around how they felt that they'd had kind of half a childhood, like behind a screen, learning behind a screen, not seeing their mates. And we really wanted to kind of understand how we can capture this kind of thriving moment and make it feel really big, something the nation can really grab onto. And kind of this is what kind of thriving looked like. We kind of spoke to lots of parents. We understood that it was all about kind of confidently owning your shit, happy to be here, being a better version of us. These are all the things they wanted for their kids as they went back on their first day walking through these school gates. So then the most important thing was, how do we cut through? Because I guess there's a lot of big messages that we could have gone through, lots of value messaging, lots of product messaging. But what hadn't at that time, until we came along, been explored was kind of sonic branding and how that can really help cut through using TV. Like obviously Christmas, thanks to John Lewis and the likes, sonic branding, huge, big thing. But with that to school, it was more kind of product focused, and no one had ever really explored what music, like the power that music could hold in this moment. So that's exactly what we did. We basically created a viral music video disguised as a TV ad. I'll show you the full ad in a second, but we obviously wanted some kind of the stars of the show. These are some behind the scenes that they took themselves. We armed them with cameras on the set to take some pictures. And we kind of really wanted this to be a really authentic film and piece of music. So we kind of did a lot of collaboration with some pretty heavy hitters within drill and grime. We worked with KZ, who's a music producer, who's worked with Koji Radical and Stormzy, and now George Asda. We're in good company. And also we worked with Atto, who's an amazing director, directed lots of kind of drill music videos. And we wanted to make sure that the people we collaborated with also had a lot of reach, and that kind of help us with the potential for this to scale much bigger than the back to school moment itself. So I'll show you the full thing in all its glory.
Arriving at this old place, future ready. Just got these new 6 kicks and that, so get steady. Look next day, so much knowledge in this place. Check his look and his book, it shows he's on the case.
Look who's back. My squad and me. New skills on a cross-white team.
And I'm gonna ace this test. Stop my eyes and cross my teeth. Look who's back, look who's back, look who's back to school. Look who's back, look who's back, look who's back to school, yeah!
Annoyingly catchy, will be in your head all day. I do apologise. So the results, it was unreal. It went off, to be honest. Like, it was really amazing, the results we had, because, as I said, we're a bit of an underdog in the back-to-school game. Like, we don't have the huge budgets that M&S have for media. So we really wanted to, it was like more important than ever to really think about how we can kind of create some kind of virality and some kind of organic reach with this. And I mean, thanks to like Nick Grimshaw giving us a little shout out on Radio 1 as well. We managed to do just that. So we got 21 million organic views on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. We got picked up by loads of meme sites on Instagram as well. So thinking about how that kind of authenticity of like who we worked with and who we collaborated with and how that really helped us with that. We got 10,000 individual tweets. We had 12,000 organic TikTok videos. We put the sound, like the track sound on TikTok. We really prioritized our kind of suite of assets outside of the film we've seen and wanted to give kind of, make the kids our mouthpiece and kind of how can they help us to get our message out there even further. So what that did, it kind of gave us this sort of rinse and repeat formula. It's a formula we still use with George today. So understanding kind of looking outside of ourselves, looking outside of ad land, easy, to kind of understand like the mood of the nation and the real-time insights that can help kind of give us a bit of a kind of sticky insight. We collectively tapped a mood, and we did this again for year 2, and then we used sonic branding over product messaging to kind of really kind of cut through with, understand the power that music can have when it comes to TV. And this really helped us, because obviously if you have a really successful year 1, you're like, shit, year 2 is just around the corner. So what do you do in year 2? So if it ain't broke, essentially, we didn't want to kind of ruin it too much and kind of mess with it too much. The kids were incredible. They were amazing kind of voices for us. But of course, kind of culture had moved forward. So that kind of gave us a slightly different mood that we needed to tap. And we kind of chose this year to tap into kind of the power shift between brands and kind of consumers and how we are on the side of consumers. We kind of have a very big footprint up and down the country in pretty much every community in England and Scotland and Wales. So this is kind of how it landed this year. So you'll see it's a lot more of a kind of price message, but I still think kind of the music and the kids, and it still has that kind of real virality and kind of shareable feel to it.
Look who's back. It's a new school year. Yeah, here's the message about new school gear. Uniform for the people. Only spend what you should. You can still look good. School's for everyone. I go all day if I could. Okay.
Reinforce knees. Making mum go.
Uniform for the people. Last so long. I need life for these. Uniform for the people. Uniform for me. Let's go. Uniform for the people. Uniform for me.
So yeah, slightly different vibe. It's kind of like the part 2, the kind of, the sophomore awkward second album, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we wanted to use the kids again. We worked with the same people again for the music, and I think it was really strong. And the kind of overall results, I think, from that one-line brief we had right at the start, a couple of years ago now, we did actually kick M&S off the top spot, finally. David won, the David and Goliath battle, and they had a really successful time. The whole back-to-school category is in decline, but we were kind of beating that and coming above and beyond. And I guess, that for me, it just kind of shows the power, of actually rethinking how you approach TV, coming at it from a completely different angle, and seeing how kind of, in our case, music can kind of help you with that cut through and that kind of virality. But yeah, that is it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just take a question, maybe. I think we're going to have time for one question, potentially two. Does anybody have any questions? Charlotte? Yeah, over here.
Who did we target on TV? Good question. Well, because we're national, we targeted, I don't work for the media agency, I apologise, so I won't know all the right language. I don't know the right language. So we did essentially, I guess, millennial mums, but the actual reach itself was, all the organic reach, I'd argue, was probably not on target, but that for us didn't matter because we were looking at kind of the on-target targeting for the media was perfect for kind of driving sales and driving product messaging, but the actual organic had much higher reach than the media had in the end, but it was kind of talking to people and almost priming them ready for kind of when they are ready to buy school uniforms or children's clothing. They weren't necessarily on target, so I guess by media standards, it sounds like a terrible campaign, but it's certainly kind of, we were priming those, because we have quite a young audience anyway at Asda, so yes, thank you for the question.
Fantastic. And potentially one short question. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yeah, over here.
Did you face any backlash at all for...
One sec.
Did you face any backlash at all for going into drill music, which is probably not something people associate with Georgia Asda?
Mm-hmm. They certainly did not. We had, it was a lot of trust from the client. I think because of how the production process worked for us, we were really conscious of that. There's nothing like a bunch of advertising people making a drill music video. That is literally the worst headline you've ever heard in your life. So we took a real step back and we sort of had more of a consultancy role, and we worked with Atto, with KZ, and kind of looked to them as the experts. And actually because of that and because of how well respected they are in the community, we actually had no real pushback, which I was at the edge of my seat that evening, waiting. But yeah, I think it's all down to the production and getting community involved early.
Fantastic. And maybe just one more question as well. I think we have a little more time. Does anybody have any other questions? No. Can you personally rap? Is that that's my question?
Oh my god! I personally, do I look like I can rap? Come on now. Definitely not. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.